Got Trey Holder, the president and partner of Brand Innovators College Sports. We have Cam Newton, the founder of iconic Saga and also an iconic NFL MVP. And then the discussion will be moderated by Rahsaan Johnson, managing director of international communications of Delta Airlines.
For the panel.
I paid a lot of money to be up here. So.
Is that money or miles?
Money. Real cash money. Okay. So, I'm glad everybody here. I think this is just going to be an interesting conversation about sports, content, NIL, sponsorships, the whole 9 yards. We'll see where it goes. Does that work?
Yeah.
And I happen to have a flight on Delta at 9 o'clock. So, since nobody's recording, let me just say real quick, Delta is always on time. We can nod. We gotta go move. So I was in the SUV on the way here. I'm sorry, in the Uber. That sounded really bad. It just happened to be an SUV. But I was in the Uber on the way here. And I was reading about this young man on my right, some of the things that he's been into recently. And I said, that is so fascinating. The NFL MVP who is running a business around content marketing, content generation, doing some things that it's easy to say smart, just some amazing things. I'm going to stop rambling and say, like, does it feel like rookie year all over again? You know, changing careers, moving on into a new space? Doing big things?
I was a little nervous. I ain't know. I'm here. I'm happy. No, it's it's very exciting. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
That's that huddle.
That's right.
Set what it is. Take control of the crowd, right? Of the huddle. But I think really for me, starting a production company is harder than what you think, but it's also easier than what you think too. Because one thing that I've learned from team franchise owner Jerry Richardson, rest in peace, he had core values in the company. And one of those core values was harmony. And he had this voice that he would always say, Cameron, it's all about harmony. I'll say, Mr. Richardson, why is it about harmony? Like, everybody has to be on the same page and understanding your role or what you're supposed to do. It sounds so simple. And even with the other team that I played for, the great Bill Belichick, just do your job. In order to do your job, you have to know your job. And just the point of emphasis of really tapping into your team. So as I'm building this media platform, this media network in Iconic Saga, I think I don't necessarily go after the most talented. I go after the people who suits the situation the best. Because you can be talented and you can be an asshole. You can be, it's just that common ground that people matter. And when you invest in people, from asking them what their favorite thing to do, what's the glue after being married for 20, 15 years, those things matter when deadlines have to be met and you have to do group projects and group things. It's something that's different than just saying, hey, I got donuts on Friday. So I think caring is something that brings harmony even the most.
One of the things I found fascinating, and I think the marketers here in the room would also, is it would have been easy for you as you think about content development and do what you do to focus on sports. And you're not doing that necessarily. A Freaky Friday, 4th and
Funky.
Oh Lord, did I read that right? Please bring me, please.
This is a corporate event.
It was a long did I say freaky? Oh Lord, that was
what type of Uber were you in?
But you're not just focusing on sports. You're branching onto other things. I mean, why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Right. No, the thing about me is I would tell my agent, I do not want to be a sports analyst. Whatever you got to do not have me be a sports analyst. And now I'm finding myself in media doing a weekly sports show, 4th and 1. We're getting geared up to start a new season of Funky Friday with a U. And I think I really wanted to show my versatility. And when LeBron said we're more than just athletes, it really resonated with me because I went to school and graduated, got my sociology degree. And that's when I realized, like, I really hate school, but I love people, though.
All right.
And it wasn't the course that gave me fits. It was the teacher that gave me fits.
Yeah.
If it was chemistry or trigonometry and the teacher knew how to speak CAM, I love trigonometry. I love physics, right? If it was PE and the teacher just gave me a hard time, I hated PE. So, you know, all in all, I just wanted to be able to put myself in a position that I could be authentically me. And sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's a bad thing too, because people always will have questions. And for me, I just always, my father raised me in a Pentecostal church knowing that, you know, just be who you are. And that was something that I had a hard time trying to do, especially in a day and age where everybody has questions. And that's why I didn't want to be a sports analyst, because I don't think ESPN would have given me that opportunity. I don't know if they would have or not, but I just wanted to be authentically me and knowing what my merit and my reasoning was for saying certain things and being, you know, standing on certain, I think, beliefs.
Yeah. And there's a purpose element in what you're doing now. High school football,
Yes, sir.
training up younger folks, creating opportunities. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Right. So, I mean, in recent news, we've all seen what took place, and I'm not going to sit up here and act like, you know, it wasn't just viral and still not going viral. But the question was asked with the content that we have coming out today is, are you still going to do the 7-on-7 events? And I, you know, was taken aback, and I had to ask myself, well, hell yeah, like, why wouldn't I? For that one situation that went viral for, you know, that scuffle or that squabble, as they say in the hood, right? There's hundreds of other testimonies from parents, from coaches, from players. Man, without Cam Newton, I don't even know where my life would be. Man, Cam saved my life. Man, Cam paid for my rent one time, man. Like, Cam was my father figure. Cam and the coaches of C1N, they gave me hope. They gave me purpose. Even when my father wasn't around, even when my mom was too busy to kind of care and tend for me, he Uber Eats me food. We were able to stay at an IHG Hotel. But it's real stories that you have from people, and you cannot get discouraged. And that's the thing that I have fond memories of kids going on Delta for the first time, getting out of 285, as we would say, and saying, oh my God, man, you ever seen a palm tree? And seeing those first time experiences with a 15, 16-year-old kid. And now when he does make it to the NFL, like a Justin Fields, like a Bo Nix, who's, you know, a Heisman hopeful this past year, these people come through, and now you've taught them how it's supposed to be. When you get to the league, you reach back and bring somebody else up with you. And it's not because of your money. It's not because nothing other than you gave them your time, your energy, and your expertise. So that's the thing that I've created with C1N as a segue for kids to say, don't let the football game use you. You use it. And that's what I will continue to keep doing.
I got one last question for you. You think about the fact you got a room full of marketing people here. You've talked about being authentic, doing the right thing. I thought it was interesting you talked about a chemistry teacher who could speak CAM would get you into chemistry. What advice, what counsel, what things would you like marketing people to be thinking about when they think about partnerships in sports, partnerships with athletes, support of programs with young people? As you think about, again, authenticism and all of that, what would you like marketing people to be thinking about?
Get on TikTok. No, I think you got to think outside the box. And, you know, it's crazy. I was just having this conversation with my mom, and she asked me, what's more important, knowledge or belief? What you mean, bro? Like knowledge, where you kind of read for yourself and you're able to make your own observation about something, or belief. Hey, don't eat that off the ground, 5-second rule. Hey, pray over your meal, and you know why you do certain things. And I asked myself, and I said, I don't know, Mom, what is it? She said it's knowledge, but it's subjective. It's a subjective answer. And now, when you understand your consumer, when you understand the people that you're around, you're able to love on them more, understand them more, because now you can try to be empathetic to what they went through, right? And it's not sitting there saying, oh, I ain't worried about that. They ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm straight. Yeah, but it's not that. It's not that tone. It's to say like, okay, but how was it growing up in College Park? How was it growing up in Bankhead? How was it growing up in New Orleans? How was it growing up in Miami? Oh, okay. Well, what do you guys do for Thanksgiving? That ain't what we do. And having that energy rather than, nah, that don't affect me. So when you're trying to target an audience that we're living in a time, I've always said it, we're living in a golden era of athlete-generated content. And I think for me, being known for football, playing, I have to learn my consumer. I have to speak Gen Z now. I can't just riddle off twins right, key left, 695 flash shift drag sneak, hey, alert X smack, and then somebody, whoa, what is that? That was Peyton Manning's favorite play. What are you talking about? You don't know that? You're stupid. Like, you have to be able to say, you know what? That's really this single receiver. He's just running a 20-yard gig, bro. And the first cover 2, that's going to be your read. Like, look the safety off first, because if you don't look that safety off, that receiver is not going to like you. But understanding how to speak to your audience in their way of digesting. And I think, not only having conversations like that with my mom, but also just having children. Yeah, I'll tell you. And growing up in my household, because I said so was the good enough answer. Nowadays,
I didn't realize we were brothers.
Man, because I said so, and that was it. But nowadays, but why, Daddy? Because I said so. Yeah, but why, Daddy? Boy, because I said so. But why? Now you have to really go into it and say, now, if you put your hand on that stove, son, it's going to burn you. And I don't want your hand to have a little boo-boo. Yeah. Oh, okay. But those type of tactics is something that takes a measure of patience and the willingness to want to know. Yeah. Because that authentic energy, one thing about people, one thing about humans, they can see through bullshit. They can feel it. Right? I always tell people, I'm quadrilingual. Okay? Speak English, Ebonics.
Yes, sir.
I talk a lot of shit. And I speak body language.
All right.
But with that body language, you can get down to the core essence of a person. You can see if they're genuine or not. And that's what I try to do.
All right. I'm hearing authenticity, know your audience, speak their language, do it smartly, and don't BS people.
Yeah.
Why did I spell it? Don't bullshit people.
There you go. And it's okay.
It's all right.
It's
all right. I want to bring in Trey Holder with Brand Innovators College Sports. Again, thinking about authenticity and honesty and speak the right language. What are you seeing, Trey, when you talk to companies that are interested in athlete sponsorships, sports sponsorships, that sort of thing? Is this resonating with you?
No, absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons that I wanted to come over and start Brand Innovators College Sports with Brand Innovators Group here is, I've been with Us Weekly for a long time, and one of the things that we saw is really from a name, image, and likeness perspective, the true authenticity that you get when you're dealing with some of these college athletes across, and not just QB1, right? But, we're talking about the sports that are sometimes non-revenue producing sports and some of the female sports and baseball and all kinds of different things. And so when we look at it, we think this is a true authentic voice that we're hearing. To the TikTok point that Cam made earlier, this is a way to reach an audience as a brand in the way they want to hear it. And it's a great way to reach kids. And so I've been really excited to get this thing off the ground and spend time teaching brands with how to activate in that space and learning. You learn every day. It's a pretty dynamic space.
I'm asking a two-part question then. What is it that has brands excited about working with college athletes, working with athletes in general, sports marketing in general, and part two, what has them nervous?
Great question. So I'll start with what has them excited first. I don't know how much everybody in this room knows about what's happening in the retail media network space, but that space is continuing to grow, and it's growing pretty rapidly. And so when some of the brands that we talked to, we had some calls today with a brand that is interested in getting more consumption and traffic in Publix. And so they want to work with athletes all over Florida from different colleges. And you can think about those stores are the stores of the community, and these are the athletes of the community, right? Everybody in that community in Gainesville, Florida knows all the Gators, right? They know the women's volleyball team, and they know the swim team, and they know these names. And so when these names say, hey, I utilize this product and I can find it in Publix, it's a great way for that brand to drive consumption and to partner with their retailer. If you're thinking about doing let's just say something with Walmart Connect across 4,500 stores and thousands of communities, and you want to interact with athletes, how many communities really have pro athletes, right? Most of them don't. So this is an opportunity to deal with the Razorbacks and all kinds of different teams out there, and they really are part of those communities. And I think it's a really exciting opportunity for the athletes, for brands, and for those retailers to triangulate on those opportunities. In regards to obstacles, look, I think the obstacles are clear in the sense that there's not a lot of history with a lot of these athletes, right? I mean, they're 18 years old, they're 19 years old. I'm a big Longhorn fan. A lot of the Longhorn football players are driving Lamborghinis around, right? They're 19 years old. So, there's a little bit of concern is, can I trust this athlete with my brand? And there are ways to mitigate that. There's agencies out there, we work with some of them that spend a lot of time making sure they identify athletes that they don't feel like are going to be an issue. You can work with multiple athletes at the same time. You can work with the collectives and the universities. So there's lots of ways to mitigate that risk. And the other aspect is, they're not professional creators, right? They're not TikTokers. They're literally all day long making sure they're perfecting everything. They may be doing this on the way to the gym, on the way to their workout, and they want to try to get this thing in. But that, I think, speaks to the authenticity of it, of who you're really dealing with these athletes. But they do need to be coached a little bit. So you do have to work, I believe, with the right agency to make sure you identify, execute the right campaign with the right athletes, and those agencies will help those athletes really create the content appropriately.
But if they need mentorship, they want to watch the right thing, they want to see the right thing, they want to know what to emulate, right? Be themselves and emulate. They should watch something called Funky Friday. With the U. I want to bring in, so Justin Alexander is Vice President of Global Brand Management of a company y'all might have heard of around here. He represents 3 IHG brands. I bet money that's written up on this wall. His title's there. I just wasted 30 seconds saying what it sounds good. Justin, tell us about some of the challenges, some of the opportunities. We'll start opportunities and challenges of sports marketing and athlete marketing that you're seeing at IHG.
Sure. So, you all have been here all day. You can probably parrot back the critical parts of our business, but we have 19 hotel brands. You add 2 more brands to that if you talk about IHG, the master brand IHG One Rewards, our loyalty brand. 6,200 plus hotels across the world with over across 100 countries. And so just trying to think about the role of sports across that ecosystem is difficult, right? So the way we think about, it's probably worth talking about partnerships writ large, and then I'll zoom into sports. we kind of have three types of partnerships, and you probably may have heard some of this today. So we have our commercial partnerships. So that's like Chase, right? That's our credit card. That's like an IV right to our P&L, right? Whatever we bring in through Chase, it goes right to our P&L. Then we've got sort of our marketing partnerships, and you probably heard a little bit of that today. That's where US Open occurs, well, MLS, but also our partnerships with Live Nation. So hopefully if you've been using Midtown here in Atlanta, you saw IHG all over that place. And that's really where, to your question, we're leaning into the role of sports to deliver us impressions with next-gen travelers and just mainstream travelers. And then you have your individual brands, because, you know, picking a brand to partner with across the 19 is difficult. It's based off the size of the brand, it's based off the ethos of the brand, the positioning. And so sports really sits at a really interesting intersection. Now I will say, how many of you remember when Coco won the US Open and she fell, and what was right behind her? IHG's logo. That was worth every single penny that we are paying to the US Open. That's just a small example of a big execution around sports. And that was a happy accident. We actually had a similar one a couple of years ago. God, I'm making out his name. Cam Smith, golfer who won the British Open, was walking through Heathrow. There's a picture taken. Right behind him was IHG Hotels and Resorts. So that's where the benefit of working with some athletes kind of helps. But related to sports, I want to sort of talk about some of the challenges. So NIL, fascinating area. But I think when we talk about authenticity, it may not be the best fit for us right now. Why? An NIL student is 18 to 21 years old. They may have the money to travel, but the people who follow them, are they traveling? Remember yourself when you were 18 to 21. Were you going on vacations? No, you might have been scrapping together some stuff to sit on a floor with somebody during a spring break, or you were using your mom and dad's credit card. So there's sort of a lack of authenticity right there for us right now, because the NIL athlete, while they may have followers, their followers may not be able to see themselves, if I was to put an NIL athlete into an ad or into some sort of content, actually living that stay the same way. So I think it's interesting and emerging area. Now, professional athletes, that's also been our challenge, right? Trey Young, when he goes and takes his son out for his most recent trip, you know, he's probably staying at some nice hotels. I like it to be one of ours, but Trey Young makes $40 million a year. So that's the hard part of authenticity. But I'll end with, here's the great thing. How many of you have kids? How many of you have had to travel somewhere for a football game, baseball game, softball game, cheerleading competition? You usually stay at a hotel, right? I would happen to say we have not figured out how to maximize how IHG shows up throughout your entire decision-making process. You may just be booking the hotel because whoever is the team captain or team mom or dad chose it. It may be part of a larger sports organization that's built an account with us or account with Marriott or Hilton. So I think that's a really interesting area, but we have not found a way to show up in your booking path, show up in your decision-making, to make sure you're connecting the dots between, I'm really traveling for sport for my kid, but how do I make a good decision? And hopefully stay at an IHG hotel, particularly Holiday Inn Express. Shameless plug. Great breakfast, pancakes.
Great breakfast.
I want to throw one question here. Mr. Newton. I feel like I should call you Mr. Newton.
Funky Friday.
With the youth, what is your advice to our colleagues on the right as you think about, the athlete experience? You would be interested in, like, how can the athlete have a dialogue with the brand and co-create with the brand the opportunity that benefits the brand, right? Like, both sides have something to win.
Correct.
What are your thoughts?
I think it's all about understanding. There's not a more competitive person than an athlete in some regards, and allowing them to use their platform to create an organic experience in your product. Even though I would love to say, hey, you give me an opportunity to prove C1 in as an opportunity, we'll use nothing but IHG. Matter of fact, we already do it anyway, so any type of perk will help. But needless to say, that platform, when you start looking and say, yeah, Trey Young, has a surplus of capital, but when you think about his reach and what he's doing, people pay attention to what you're seeing, what you're wearing, how you're moving, what you're driving. And if you are in a position of where you're staying, and there's nothing better than getting a free experience to do that. YouTube does that. Social media does that. Instagram does that. And I say it, jokingly, but TikTok does that. And people are such consumers of that content to say, okay, he went there. I want to be a part of that too. And on top of that, it's for the more common person too, which even makes it even more relatable. And I think don't talk your way out of it. Lean in towards it. And the brands who do, they succeed. And it always has to start with the risk first. And I can see it on both sides too. So that's what I'm saying.
We could do this for 2 hours, and you know what? We want to be on time. I think we are at time. Where should I go eat dinner tonight?
Fellowship.
Where should I go smoke a cigar tonight?
A fellowship.
And then what should I watch on YouTube this weekend?
A Funky Friday.
Can we give everybody one more round of applause today? Thank you guys so much for being here. Can we also give a round of applause to our team of brand innovators who, without them, this wouldn't be possible to bring all of us together. They run so many amazing events across the country. They bring in VIPs, which I think we are all VIPs in our space of marketing, but it's very nice. Cam, thank you so much again for being here today to speak. It's a fun angle to consider the influence of sports and what we do, and it's great to have you here. Thank you, everybody who's spoken today. Thank you to all the brands that are represented. And one more round of applause to our team at Brand Innovators. Who have done Do you want to close this out? Anybody?
You know what? Just a big thanks to Liz Krisafi as well. Rahsaan, you know what? Actually, if you can just bring it home, because before Rahsaan was at Funky Friday, Freaky Fridays. I'm gonna call you Rahsaan now Rahsaan. So you were United Airlines, where you actually led sponsorship, sports marketing, and then your friendly competitor Delta, where you now are employed by, politely poached you from that other airline. But when you were there,
And it was the right move.
they flew you down. But I mean, the only thing is, you asked some great questions, today. But I wish we asked you a question about, some of the stuff that's working really well. Obviously, you've been at Delta now for over 2 years now. Wow. United, I know what you did there with some great partnerships with Warriors, Steph Curry, and others. But anything you can speak to, today that you're working on at Delta that you want everybody in the room to, to just get some inspiration from and excitement from, and maybe some collaboration with IHG and their properties with this awesome airline who's down the road?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that we keep getting reminded about, right, is people. I'm not going to say anything that you don't already know. Attention is currency, right? People are so wrapped up in, we have our lives, we have our kids, we have our jobs, we have Netflix, we have TikTok, we have so many things that take our attention. We need to be paying attention to Funky Friday. I'm dead serious. But what we see at Delta is one of the ways to get people's attention, to capture people's attention, get people to feel connected. Right? Get people to feel as though they are a member of something that they care about, right? We think about membership experience, right? You join Sky Miles. There is more to Delta and Sky Miles than just physically getting you on an airplane from point A to point B. And I think for all of the brand marketers here, think about the way you can become consistently relevant to your customers, to your followers, to your members, right? Get them sticky. That's how you compete with the Netflixes and the all of the other things that are taking people's attention. So, literally just off the top of my head, but I hope that made some sense. And we gotta do this again. If we need 130 minutes, man. Design.
It was good.
You had a good time.
And you said where to eat. go to Holiday Inn Express and get you a little.
There you go.
There you go. My man.
Free plug.
You guys gotta talk.
Can you say that one more time?
Free plug. I'm gonna give you my cash app first. Either Apple Pay, I do all of you.
And what you do is you eat at the Holiday Inn Express in Manhattan, and then you go to LaGuardia and fly Delta to Atlanta to go have dinner at the restaurant.
While you doing that, watch Funky Friday.
Because Delta has free Wi-Fi where you can stream video on the airplane.
We keep going. All right.
Keep going on.
I'm running because I need a raise out of it.
Thank you. I know. It's open mic night, you guys. Anybody else? Thank you, everybody. Thank you again, you guys. We really appreciate it.